We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by FanDuel. Week 7, it's the big show. How's everyone feeling today? There's a lot to talk about. We're going to do some stuff a little bit different than we normally do. Also, normally we do the Pristine auction giveaway from the unboxings, all that stuff. We do it the following Monday. Today, we're actually going to start giving away some stuff live. Because we've actually run into a little bit of a hiccup where some of these items that we've been pulling out of these boxes, these signed jerseys, these signed footballs, all of that type of stuff, people just haven't been claiming them. And I don't know what it is. We've been reaching out via email after the drawings, but if you're not there live to claim it, sometimes there's been some items that have fallen through the cracks. So we're going to start to remedy that a little bit, and we're going to start to do that on our Sunday morning shows, get a little bit more eyes on the contest. So I will be doing this sporadically throughout this stream. It's not going to be at specific times. It's going to be whenever I feel like it. So if you have already jumped into those, you're fine. You're already in the drawing. You're already on the wheel. If you have not jumped into the Pristine auction giveaways yet, there is a new link in the description. So check that out before you do anything else, because I am going to be pulling those every time I do another drawing. I'm going to make sure that I put those into the list, if that makes sense. So there's a new thing that you should be filling out. If you haven't already, it takes 30 seconds, totally free. The items that we're going to be giving away today, I suppose I can tell you guys that. I'm just not going to tell you when we're going to do it. So that's going to be fun. And also, we've been trying to get some more traction on the polls. So if you are voting in the polls, you'll be eligible for a $20 Amazon gift card. So I'm going to be doing a separate drawing at the end of the stream with everyone that's voted. So if you vote in all the polls, you'll get multiple entries. If you voted in one of the polls, you'll get one entry. Pretty simple. So I think that hopefully we'll get some more votes. Honestly, that's for us. That's for you guys. That's to get an idea of where we're at on some of these plays, right? But I mentioned the Pristine auction stuff. So let's show you guys what we are going to be giving away today. Just go over to my Twitter. That's normally where I announce this type of stuff. We do have this Derrick Henry jersey behind me that we pulled out of this mystery box. That Nick Chubb giant photo. I might as well show you guys this quickly, because if you want to see it, you got to see it, right? So we got the Derrick Henry jersey. Awesome week for that. And then right over here, we got like a giant Nick Chubb. It doesn't even fit in my studio. We got this giant Nick Chubb photo, and it's messing up my lighting, so I have to get it out of there. But so we have that from this past week's mystery box. But also, like I said, we're going to start giving away some of these prizes that have not been claimed. 2 of those this week that I think are especially relevant for this slate is going to be the Calvin Ridley jersey. A signed Calvin Ridley jersey was unclaimed, so you can win that today. There's still time if you're here when we pull it. Also, a Miles Sanders jersey. Again, extremely relevant for the Week 7 slate. So this will be fun to give these away later on. How's everyone doing in the chat? I got some energy today. I'm feeling good. Got in the sauna, jumped in the pool, straight to the show. We already got a couple super chats in here. Of course, my boy Noel fan. What's up, man? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for that $9.99. What's Noel on today? I'm always curious what Noel's on. I still feel bad last week at the Tiltspace. Just a crazy run out, obviously. That 20K literally went from, I think, 1,500 to 20K on the last play of the slate. Anytime that does happen, obviously some people move down the leaderboard slightly. I think Noel had a pretty big swing there, so I still feel bad about that. I think he got like 3rd, 4th place, something like that, instead of, I don't know where he was before, but it was much higher. So sorry about that, Noel. You're going to get it all back this week, I bet, my man. Thank you for that $9.99 super chat. You're the best. The answer. Wow, a $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much for that, man. Just sending some great vibes for the community. What a great guy, man. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Seriously. So, like I said, we're going to be giving away the Amazon gift card, obviously, throughout the stream for the polls. So we might as well start with one of those polls. And let's start with, we were just talking about the mystery boxes. So we're actually going to start with that. And I think I got to add the Chubb photo to this. Let's do that. So what is, of the items that we're going to do today, and I want to test the polls because I actually just changed something, so hopefully they still work. Which item are you most excited about having the chance to win today? Before we get into any of this stuff. So in order to place your vote, !vote space the number. You want that Derrick Henry jersey? Maybe you're going to try and grab that Calvin Ridley jersey that wasn't taken before. Miles Sanders. Or is it the giant Nick Chubb photo? That thing is huge. I will grab that. When we pull that thing, I'm going to pull that down and you guys probably have no idea how big that thing is. It takes up like half my wall. So what are we feeling here, guys? As you guys are voting for this one, I need to do some shout outs in the chat. I always scroll all the way to the top. Peter Union's in here. What's up, man? Aaron's in here with the coffee. Mikey Boy, of course. Mikey Boy's feeling good about today. Love that, man. He's got 3 lineups in the Listener League. Love to see that, man. Yeah, we've already made it through. Haven't even talked about the Listener League yet. I think we're at about 1,500 entries. So if you haven't gotten in there yet, definitely do that before it fills. FanDuel.com/Holka. 3 max, 5 entry. 3 max, $5. Rake free, all that good stuff. So if you're not playing a ton of volume or you just want to get involved a little bit more with our community, definitely jump into that. So apparently this is working. This Amazon gift card thing is working, guys, because we already have 78 votes on this. That's all it took. I got to give you guys an Amazon gift card for you guys to vote in the polls. Tough scene. Looks like this big dog jersey is a hot commodity though, which isn't too surprising. It is sweet. I almost saved. I'll say this. I almost saved the Derrick Henry jersey because I like it so much. I just really like how it looks in the studio. So I almost saved this for like an extra week, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. We will give that away today. All right, so we know that you guys have been incentivized. So let's go to our normal poll, though. It looks like Derrick Henry running away with that for the mystery box stuff. Outside of that, it's pretty even. So today, it is week 7. Who do you guys think is going to be the highest owned player? And I'm going to close out this poll because that's what it's going to make me do before I can start a new one. There we go. Who's going to be the highest owned player in week 7? Is it Daryl Henderson? Is it Cooper Kupp? Devonte Adams? We got some high-flying wide receivers up there that it looks like they're popping to be significantly owned, which is not super surprising. Or is it one of these cheaper plays or underpriced plays? Is it going to be Leonard Fournette? Or are all the Rashad Bateman people going to come out to play today? All these people that are talking about Bateman leading up to the season, myself included, Matt Harmon, he's extremely cheap. He's easy to throw in there. But will he be the highest owned player? That's my big question. The Daryl Henderson thing, obviously we have the Matt Stafford revenge game. Does Daryl Henderson just come in and take all the touchdowns? Maybe. I don't know. It's nice that he's at 4 p.m. We'll talk through all this stuff, guys. We're going to go position by position per usual. We're going to go through some of my favorite stacks. We'll do some lineup building. If you are a tier 2 or tier 3 member of the community, make sure you toss a few lineups into the submit for lineup review channel in Discord. We're going to go through a couple community lineups too. I like doing that on Sundays. I think that was a good addition. So it looks like you guys have spoken here. Daryl Henderson. Again, we'll remind you, if you guys are just trickling in, if you do vote in these, you have a chance at an Amazon gift card, $20 gift card at the end of the stream. So make sure you get your vote in, guys. Don't be shy. I'm literally going to copy and paste the chat and put it into the wheel. So get in there. I think right away, if we get to close to like 100 on some of these, we're already doing a lot better than before. So that's the idea. We do have 99 likes on this video right now. So if Jake Seeley was here, he would say to smash that like button. The only reason I mentioned that, and I'll try not to mention it again, at the very beginning of the stream, if we can get more likes on the video, like very early on, we'll get more people that are recommended our video, which in turn gives us more people that can join our community, get them involved on Sunday mornings, all that good stuff. So I do truly appreciate that, guys. It is an interesting week overall. And I do agree with you guys. I think that Daryl Henderson could be the highest owned play. So let's start there. I think that what is nice about Henderson being the most owned play on the slate, the chalkiest play on the slate, is that he is a very good play, but he's at 4 p.m. So we can just put him on our flex. It's like similar to like what we were doing with Kareem Hunt last week. Most of my lineups last week did have Kareem Hunt in the flex, and that gives you a lot of flexibility to, if things are going well, you can play one of the best plays on the slate. If things are not going well, you can gain a lot of leverage by fading that player and late swapping to something a little bit different. So we'll go through a couple specific examples on that. But I think right off the hop, that's kind of my starting point. And I think you can obviously build around stacks. There's some great games today. But I think the idea of building through most of your teams with Daryl Henderson in the flex is mostly correct. Vincent says, check Discord. All right, let's do it. Listener League link needs to be fixed. Uh-oh. What did I do here? The one that's pinned? I got to check this now. What is this all about? Thank you for that. We're going to unpin that. We're going to do a new link so people can get in the Listener League. Vincent, my man, thank you so much, man. Listener League. It's pretty simple. FanDuel.com/Holka. Am I spelling all this right? And that one's not going to work either because I have to put the HTTP or whatever. Jesus. I think I know what I did wrong, though. I don't think I did the slashes. The internet, guys, it has to be perfect for it to work. All right. Listener leak is in the chat, and I will pin that. I can't type. Leak. All right, that one should work. I'm going to check it, though. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that, Vincent. People are just clicking on that broken link the whole stream. That's an absolute disaster. So we're going to replace the pinned tweet with that one, and we're good to go. Thanks, bro. Where was I? Obviously, yes. I think that normally we're building through stacks. I think that at least having some of your flex spots with Henderson definitely makes a lot of sense. Yes, Darren Waller in the chat. So like as we pivot over to news, someone said he's out. I heard that he is not feeling good and that he's questionable. So hopefully we get some more news on that, right? Because that's another late afternoon game. Do you want to wait around for Darren Waller? It's kind of interesting from a game theory perspective, but it is kind of makes me a little bit nervous, right? Especially since he said he didn't feel very good. So that's interesting. In terms of some other stuff for news, there wasn't like a ton of stuff, at least last night, that stood out. A couple of the Giants guys, it looks like they're expected to play. Darius Slayton, Evan Ingram. So that changes things a little bit for I guess some of the downside of that offense. But man, the Panthers defense against Danny Dimes, that's going to be pretty tough. Devontae Parker does look like he will not be playing. I don't know if that is official yet, but it says he's an uphill battle currently. So plus matchup or plus, I guess, target share for guys like Waddle, guys like Gesicki. Definitely an interesting, like, condensed target share in a game that we do like against the Falcons, which we'll talk about. Julio Jones, that hamstring injury, says he's optimistic. They need Julio, though, right? Like that's one of the things. Like they really need him to come back and be a force, and soon. So we'll see. Yeah, the Darren Waller ankle doesn't feel great, is exactly kind of what he said. So we'll see if we get any more news on that. Hopefully we do, because that's going to be a really tough thing to leave open with that type of salary with some of the high flying guys that we do have available today. So that's most of the stuff. Keep me updated in the chat, though, guys. They're keeping Waller safe from further injury, Joshua says. That could be, for sure. Joey Donnelly. Joe, does Michelle/Rams getting off Henderson crazy? If you're playing the super large field lottery ticket stuff, man, maybe. I will say he's not on my radar. Aubrey says game time call for Waller. All right, I need to scroll up a bit because I missed some of the chat here. We do have a lot more votes in here, which I love to see. All I had to do was give you guys an Amazon gift card. Why didn't I do that like 4 weeks ago? All right. A lot of Fournette love in the chat as well. Interesting on the chalk stuff. Ram stack going to be popular. Hey, man. Anytime you can get, I guess you better hope the touchdowns come through the air because that one could get ugly fast. But I agree with you. You would imagine that Stafford and McVay are going to make a statement here, but you're going to have to pay some high salaries to fully stack it up, obviously, and it's you're going to eat some ownership there too. So we talk about this every week. If you're going to be playing one of these very chalky stacks, you have to figure out ways to get weird and different around them, right? Because what's the point of holding hands with guys that have similar? Like you're not going to have like a sneaky Kansas City stack, realistically, right? So you have to figure out ways to get different with it. A lot of good plays in the late games. I like the way the slate like shapes up right now in terms of the games, right? So there's only 10 games on the slate, but we have 4 in the afternoon. That's a huge edge, guys. Huge edge. So that's almost always going to be my tiebreaker, is to try and get exposure to this afternoon game. You have so much information. You have the Derrick Henry information. You have the Kansas City Chiefs information. You have all the information about Devonta Adams. You have all the information about this Atlanta and Miami game. It's just such a huge edge to have that going into the afternoon and have like ideas of ways you can get different. So we'll talk through that. The good news is we have time. We have tons of time, guys. So I appreciate all of you guys being here today. Obviously, the polls, all that stuff is great, but just being here more than enough. I do truly appreciate it. Jeremy in the chat says, let's get a Holka SCSU jersey up for auction. I have one from every season in college, signed by the entire team. But you'd have to pry that thing out of my dead fingers. Appreciate you, Jeremy. Thanks for being here, bro. Would love to know if Tyreek is a full go. Yeah, Reeves came on the show this week and talked about him being just like the sports car, right? You want it to be like finely tuned. If you're going to pay that price tag for it, you want him to be ready to go. So yeah, I hope so. Ryan Hodge in the chat. What's up, Hodge? Says, imagine not playing Henderson this week, dude. Just such a good play, but just it's such a great roster construction idea, right? Like it's just like it's not like there's not enough people thinking about it that way, right? And we talked about this a little bit in the Discord for the tier 3s. Like one of the things that I'm trying to do a better job of, and the Tiltspace guys like have kind of forced me into this, but I think it's really smart. And Peter Overzet, he does this, I think, on almost all of his teams, and I'm trying to as well, is you build 2 teams. You build one team, the team that you really like, and then you build a disaster team, right? So in the afternoon, if things go terribly wrong across the board, or you missed on some plays, or whatever happens, you already have your pivot set, right? So you know which guys you're moving to. There's been tons of times where, myself included, I'll be off to a rough start, and I'll be like going in there trying to figure out my late swaps, right? So you're going in there, and then you realize that you left yourself in like this really weird salary range. So yeah, leaving salary on the table at that point is totally fine, but like, when you want to maximize that salary if you can, so to me, you're building your best case scenario lineup, and then you're building your worst case scenario pivot after the 4 p.m. You already have that planned out as you're building. And obviously that's much tougher to do if you're building a ton of lineups. But if you're doing a lot of the stuff like we are, playing like these smaller field tournaments, and not running out a ton of lineups overall, I think that's kind of the way to do it, right? So the listener league currently 68% full. This is the least amount of people we've had on this on a Sunday morning so far. So if you are not in the listener league yet, I would get in there. There's going to be a ton of overlay in this thing. So I would imagine that's something you guys are interested in. Noel fan again. He wants a Chang's V's Huskies. Yeah, you guys know the story of my username. I will quickly tell this because I'm sure some of you guys have already figured it out. It's the last 3 hockey teams that I played for before college. So Chang's, I played for a team in Arizona that was sponsored by PF Chang's, which was amazing. And then I played for the Penticton V's in British Columbia. And then I played for the St. Cloud State Huskies. So Chang's V's Huskies. Back when I first created my DraftKings and FanDuel account, like, I don't know, like 2013, 2014, something crazy like that. Definitely would not have done that name if it was today. But you're stuck with it, man. They won't let me change it. It's a tough scene. All right. I think we got to most of the stuff here in the chat. How many times can you vote? You can vote 1 time, Joshua. It will only count your vote once. And a lot of these votes are subscriber-only votes. So let's go ahead and close this one. And let's move over to the quarterback position. The top quarterback play of week 7. This is a sub-only vote. We're taking into consideration price here. Who's your guys' favorite play? In order to place your vote and, I guess, get in the drawing for this $25 Amazon gift card, exclamation point vote space the number. So Patrick Mahomes, if you want to vote for Mahomes, exclamation point vote space 1. Enter. And if you are a subscriber, it will work. I hope. So where are we at on quarterback, guys? Leave a like or I'll steal your bike. I like that one, Gary. I might steal that. That's pretty good. What's up, Matt Murphy? Good morning, my man. That 49ers helmet is clean. Yeah, that's a Kittle helmet, actually. Yeah, I've had that one since last year. I've got like kind of a lot of the elite tight ends. So I've got the Kittle. I've got obviously the Kelsey. And then I have like a Gronkowski one it's all the way down in the bottom that I don't really I should probably move some of this stuff. But this Gronkowski helmet is absolute. Let's see if we can get absolute fire. Love me some Gronk. Love me some Gronk. Maybe next week we'll give away the TJ Hopkinson one. I do have that one in the studio as well. Where are we at a quarterback, guys? Ooh, we are a little bit spread out here. Mahomes, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, Kylo Murray, or other. If you are voting for other, though, make sure you do exclamation point vote space the number, enter, and then put the name, right? Let me know in the chat after that, or it doesn't work for some reason. So, Chris, I'm talking to you and not singling you out because I do see it a lot, especially people that haven't done the voting yet. So your Rodgers has to be on the next line. We got some love for Rodgers. We got some love for Matt Ryan. Interesting. Wayne Casey says he's on Naked Murray. Okay, I buy that. Very interesting. Very interesting. We got about 100 votes in here right now and almost 500 people live. So 100 people want access to that that Amazon, that $25 Amazon gift card, apparently. Tough scene. He's only Naked Murray doesn't sound right. We got another tier 2 Hulkamaniac in the chat. Welcome in, David. Thanks so much, man. We'll see you in the Discord, my man. David, I'll say this. If you get in there quick enough, I think you should be able to submit a lineup for review if you want us to touch on it on stream, my man. Thank you so much. Welcome in. Yeah, and only 150 likes. Tough scene, Vincent. It's a lot to ask of someone to hit that like button, I found. Jeremy says, let's get 1K in the chat. We had some streams last year with 1K. We'll get back to that, guys. We got everyone we need. The best way to help is just the likes, obviously, and all that sort of stuff. But the chat really helps, too. Why do you think we run these polls? Is to get an idea of where we're at. Like, obviously, sharp community, if you're watching the show. So I want to get an idea of where the ownership, like, where you guys think it should be. But also, like, the chat, like, the flowing chat really helps more people get suggested the video on the stream. Too many people talking up Tua? I haven't heard anyone talking about playing Tua. That's for sure. That's interesting. Miami still plays in a dome. Basically a dome. A good game environment. We're not quite to the spot yet, I think, where we have to, like, worry as much about weather and all that stuff. I haven't heard anything about weather this morning. Joey Donnelly, John Donnelly in the chat says Gronk likes my Patriots hat. Yeah. It's hard to vote on this one, is it? So I'm going to lead this up so we can get some more votes as we're going through this. But I'll say this. Well, let's start at the top at quarterback. Like Patrick Mahomes, guys, it's one of those situations where it's not that hard to get all the way to the top at the quarterback position, just the way pricing is. So if we go over to run the Sims here. So at the quarterback position, if we just literally sort by salary. So you can pay all the way up for Patrick Mahomes at $8,800. You can go down to Lamar at $8,400. Both of them very good plays, obviously. But like we look down a little bit and we see guys like Derek Carr at $7,400, Matt Ryan at $7,300, Joe Burrow at $7,200. You have to ask yourself what you're gaining if you want to move down to that salary, right? So, because what you're losing is you're losing a ton of rushing equity from some of these guys at the top, usually, or an extremely high team total, that sort of thing. So, if you're considering someone like Matt Ryan, who I actually really like today, I'm probably not single stacking him. I'm playing that this game goes nuts and that Matt Ryan throws for 4 touchdowns because that's what you're going to need for a guy that's not going to run it all. Easier to get those 4 touchdowns from someone like Patrick Mahomes typically. And then we kind of fall into these Kyler, Lamar, Jalen Hurts type of guys to where they're just going to give you at least a full touchdown on the ground usually. So the Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, these teams, like obviously the team total matchup, you can put those into it, but like the Bucs in particular, I guess passing at such like an over expected rate at this point, like it's a little bit easier to click guys like Stafford and Brady, clear targets to pair them with, all of those things. And then Rodgers, like we're just falling over ourselves to play the Kansas City guys against Washington last week. But now Rodgers, we're sitting here at 5% ownership. What's that all about? So let's start at the top though, because I do think that Patrick Mahomes, super interesting, obviously. In this game, we've already talked about Tyreek a little bit, but this Titans defense, guys, is not good. It's not like the exact same spot as last week, but I think it's like an easy spot still to ramp up our Kansas City Chiefs players. And I think that it's going to be like, even just look at the poll, guys. We got 113 votes in here, and we're very spread out at quarterback right now. Outside of like Kylo Murray, like there's a lot of good quarterback plays today. And I didn't even put any of the cheaper guys on here. So getting up to Mahomes at 8,800, yeah, you're eating 15% ownership, but that doesn't really matter. So we don't even really need to talk too much about that side of things. I think if we're just talking about ceiling of this game based on overall ownership, like you guys don't need me to tell you that Kansas City and Tennessee is one of the best ways to build today if you're willing to get different around it. And then, yeah, the answer in the chat's talking about if we go the big dog, you got to find some value. Agreed. So I can't really pick a ton of holes in Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, like this Tennessee defense, not only are they not great in the secondary, they don't pressure very well. And this revamped offensive line for Kansas City, Mahomes is going to have a ton of time. Reeves came on the show earlier this week and talked about, yeah, if he's healthy, it sets up as just an absolute smash spot for Tyreek Hill. So they bring Mahomes with them, and that price tag at 8,800 I think is totally reasonable. If we did want to move down to Lamar for 8,400, and I'll talk about Kyler in a second, but Lamar against Cincinnati, I think that like we all told ourselves that this it's not even a narrative, it's just fact that the Baltimore Ravens are passing much more than we expected them to this year. So if that's true, Lamar and a very condensed target share of Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews, and now Rashad Bateman makes a ton of sense. Like, think about some of the secondary options Lamar's had. And I would say Sammy Watkins even was like a decent upgrade from some of the guys we had, like the Devin Duvernay. We had, who else was it? Who's the Matt Harmon guy that I'm trying to remember? I'll think about it. But like these like dust wide receivers for so long. And now that their running backs are so banged up and they just can't run the ball near as effectively, they're kind of letting Lamar throw a little bit much, right? And he still has that unique, like super high-end rushing ability that just gives him that crazy high ceiling. So honestly, like last week, like let's think about what happened to Lamar last week. So 4 touchdowns for this Ravens team, right? We get a touchdown from Latavius Murray. We get a touchdown from Devonta Freeman. We get like all of these running back touchdowns come. And now everyone wants to jump off of Lamar. I don't think he's going to be like super low owned or anything like that, but the stack will be. Like Hollywood is not going to be popular at that price point. Maybe Mark Andrews gets a little bit more steam now that we have a little bit more concerns with Darren Waller. Bateman's going to be chalky. I get that, but like if you're going to stack up the whole thing in some of these tournaments that we're playing in the smaller field stuff, I actually think that the Lamar stack is super interesting today. But it's not really anything to do with the price. Like I think you can easily jam in Mahomes or Lamar. Kyler's interesting because it's in the afternoon and because there's pretty, like, if anything you're looking at, we talk about this. If we're talking about late swap, we want ceiling and we want lower ownership. You get both of those things with almost any weapon that you choose in Arizona. So getting up to Kylo Murray, like, I think he's going to be super low. We have him at 13% right now in the smaller field stuff. I think he could be sub 10. So that's interesting. But what do we think about Jalen Hurts in this like pace up scenario against Las Vegas? He's 8,300 now. And from like a real football perspective, like we haven't really, like you can't say a lot of really nice things about Jalen Hurts, but when you're going to have the floor that you do on the ground from him, like even just like, he's literally only thrown the ball 26 times 2 weeks in a row, guys. But he's added 10 rushing attempts in back-to-back games, 9 rush attempts the week before, and 4 rushing touchdowns in 2 weeks. Like that, yes, the touchdowns take that out of it, but just like adding in a touchdown on the ground is something that is super valuable. The week before, 37 pass attempts. So like the volume across the board is good, and the weapons are super cheap. So like that's why the Hurts thing makes a lot of sense to me, right? So if you're just going to say that maybe these rushing touchdowns can't continue, like why can't we just have some of those touchdowns go to Devonta Smith, have some of those touchdowns go to an extremely cheap Miles Sanders, an extremely cheap, I guess now Zack Ertz-less Dallas Goedert. So it does make a decent amount of sense. Obviously on the Vegas side of things, Henry Ruggs, someone that has like shown the ability to kind of earn some targets for the first time this year. Like he's been earning these deeper targets. Like people don't even want to realize how much like the Raiders have been throwing deep this year. Obviously, it's not a great matchup for that. Like Philly likes, as Reeves was telling us earlier in the week, likes to keep everything in front of them. But I think that Ruggs is at least an interesting contrarian guy on the other side of this. Or we talked about this with Davis. Maybe you don't bring back. This seems like an interesting week to just not even force in bringbacks. And I know if Noel's listening in here, he's on board with that. He thinks that people typically bring it back too often. And I would agree that maybe you don't force it, especially on some of these team totals that we have here today. The Rams, the Cardinals, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Falcons. You don't have to bring it back. The team total is extremely high in some of those games for a reason. And there are some good like secondary plays that we can put in here. Especially if you're playing anything like over like the Listener League. The Listener League is 2,000 people. I don't think you have to overly correlate on the other side all the time, right? It is specific. I actually prefer to have more mini stacks than force in a bring back that I don't like as much. Does that make sense, guys? Got to think Kyler force feeds Hopkins versus Houston. Yeah, man, this is an interesting Nuke spot. Nuke is one of those guys that sets up as like a really strong late swap option just because of the ceiling and all that stuff. But you want to know the best thing about DeAndre Hopkins, guys? I'll show you. I'll show you exactly what I mean here. Because if we go over to the Listener League on FanDuel, guess who's the same exact price? Daryl Henderson, DeAndre Hopkins. You put Daryl Henderson in your flex, things aren't going well. Thank you very much. I'll take DeAndre Hopkins at 5%. You're welcome. The ceiling's there. Obviously, it's not the most amazing spot in the world. There would be chalk, right? And obviously, Hopkins hasn't shown that elite target share. You can argue that he's way overpriced. But from a leverage perspective, guys, like, this is just such an easy pivot. So this is part of the reason I like the Henderson in the flex type of play even more. It just makes so much sense. If you don't even, if say you don't like DeAndre Hopkins, maybe you go to someone like Deandre Swift. You save a little bit of salary, you upgrade your defense, whatever it may be. So that's the way we should be thinking about this type of stuff. So where are we? I know we're talking about quarterback here. So let's go back to the poll. Who else should we talk about? We talked about Hurts. We talked about Lamar. We talked about Mahomes. Talk about Stafford. I love Stafford today. I think he's an easy guy to play. I think that, like, I would imagine, I haven't even checked the chat for this. There's probably people that are asking, can you play Henderson with Stafford together? Can you do it? I think yes. I'm going to tell you why. Some of these games, especially this week, we were talking about how not to force back to bring back. Part of the reason that stacks, like, in some of these games make so much sense is that basically all of the volume is going to very condensed spots, right? It's not extremely spread out. I guess you can take Arizona out of this, but if we're talking about like the Rams, we're talking about Tampa Bay, Kansas City, whether it's injuries or just elite talents that tend to just like soak up a lot of the target share, you can put running backs into that as well, guys. So like you'll see it in some of these smaller field tournaments. I'm not scared to put a running back in there, especially a guy that can give me at least something through the air. So we'll talk about Fournette, but I think you can play Fournette with your Brady stacks, 100%. Do I think you could play Daryl Henderson with your Stafford stacks? Yes, I do. Sure, in theory, maybe you're taking away a rushing touchdown away. But guys, like this guy's had, okay, so 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's had at least 3 targets in the passing game. So like in the top 1%, 5% outcome, you get Stafford to throw to Daryl Henderson. You're already there correlation-wise, and you have a little bit of a differentiator because there's just not many people, like there's still people that'll do it. There's not enough people that are just going to throw in a running back with their stack. Same thing with mini stacks. It's totally fine to play running backs and wide receivers in a mini stack. It's totally fine to play these really good running back plays with their quarterback if they catch passes, in my opinion. So yes, I guess the long-winded way of saying yes, I think you can play Daryl Henderson with your Ram stacks. Does this game get out of hand and then Stafford doesn't have to pass as much? Okay, perfect. Maybe we just get more from Henderson at that point. So I think there's still a really strong argument for just grabbing all the points in a game and trying to capture that in a way that is thoughtful and makes sense from like an ownership perspective. So I think that Henderson is one of those plays. Noel fan, $5 super chat. Are we just ignoring the 1 week of condensed Brady? Absolutely not, Noel. I saved him for last for a reason, my man. Yeah, so let's talk about Brady. So we're just talking about a guy that from like a pass percentage above expectation, like Brady is, I don't know what they're doing. They're going for records, whatever it may be. There's like really only one argument away from the Brady stacks today. It's that maybe Chicago tries to make this game extremely gross. But the way it sets up absolutely perfect because this team is so good against the run. There's going to be pass attempts on the other side. Brady is passing at an elite rate. So that's just going to lead to more plays. So there should be a ton of plays in this game overall. And with Antonio Brown out, Rob Gronkowski out, we're in this situation where we have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette in this like crazy condensed spot against this defense that, I mean, are we scared of the Chicago defense? I'm not, personally. And they're at home. So, no, I think this is a good time maybe to go in and let's see what a Brady team looks like. Let's do that. Let's see what like an onslaught type of Brady team looks like, and we can kind of loop in playing the running back like we were doing, or like we were just talking about. So if you did want to go to a Brady team today, and we will continue through the positions, guys. Don't you worry. We do have time. So if we went Brady, this is actually going to play to a lot of the things we've been talking about. So let's go Brady. Let's go Evans. Let's go Godwin. Let's bring it back. Leonard Fournette. Sure. Do you want to correlate your tight end? Yeah, sure. Throw Cole Kmet in there. Throw Cameron Brate in there. Sure. If you want to. But what I'm saying here is you don't have to force in one of these Chicago guys if you don't. And I'm someone that's played a little bit too much Chicago guys for sure at times this year. My concern with the Chicago side of this ball, outside of the just that this game could get gross, is that Justin Fields has really struggled under pressure. Tampa Bay is going to bring pressure. But Brady is one of those unique situations where if it is 40-12 at half, he's still going to throw. So we don't care. Godwin at 6,700 obviously is an amazing play. We'll talk more about the wide receiver aspect of this stuff as we go. But just starting with a stack like this, and then maybe let's throw in that so that I can get in Henderson in the flex. So starting with something like this, and then you get in one of these cheaper defenses, whatever it may be. Like on the defensive side of things, guys, like there is a couple really good plays at the top end. Obviously, the Cardinals, the Bucks, they're really expensive. So on this specific build, we're probably not going to be able to completely get to something like that. The Rams, I guess you can throw into that. We could move all the way down to something like the Giants against Carolina. They're 3,600. They're probably like one of the better, like cheaper plays. Maybe Philly at 3,500. You can make an argument for. So let's go ahead and throw in. Let's go ahead and throw in Philly, 'cause at least there's some pace to that game. And the way that I want to think about defense today, guys, is you can have these really heavy stacks, but also like think about it this way: how do the Rams fail? It's if there's a couple defensive touchdowns that go in. How does Kansas City fail? Maybe a couple defensive touchdowns go in. So like I like the idea of going to some of those defenses as well. So we do have at least a reasonable amount of salary to work with here. And this is a 4 p.m. game. So some of these like 1 p.m. players that we really like, we could try and get in some sort of exposure to this Miami game. I don't hate that. So a little mini correlation with someone like Gesicki and Calvin Ridley. Can we fit that? We can. So at the net running back, we're left with 6,400. We got Mike Davis. We got Chase Edmonds. A lot of leverage with that. We could go Miles Sanders with the Eagles defense. There's a lot of outs here, right? I think that Chase Edmonds is at least interesting because he's going to be super low. We're talking about some of these guys in this range, right? Miles Sanders is going to be pretty chalky. Devontae Booker, maybe not super chalky, but there's going to be some ownership on those type of players, right? But Chase Edmonds and James Conner, for that matter, I don't know why. I think that he's at least, he's not getting like the crazy volume that we want to see, but he's getting the passing game work. So I think that his floor is at least reasonable. So you could throw him in there if you wanted to. But you're able to move something like Henderson and Chase Edmonds around. There's a ton of things you can do here with flexibility. So that's kind of that's how I'm piecing through some of these builds. But no, yeah, I do think that the Brady stack is squarely in play. Joshua says the Bucks core is the one that you have. Yeah, it's not going to be super low owned. That's why I wanted to get kind of weird with at least something, right? Like, and getting weird with someone like Edmonds when I have a decent amount of chalk in that lineup, right? It's kind of how I'm thinking through it. Flex Boyd or Devontae Booker, that would have worked too. Jets D, salary saver, maybe. I don't mind that. Brady's playing to set records. Exactly. Yep. All right, guys, so we made it through quarterback. Probably the longest we've spent. I like talking through like a little bit of like the stacking aspect of that as well. So let's move on to the running back position. Who's the top running back today? Price considered. This is a sub-only vote, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Toss a like on this video while you're at it so more people can find this video. Also, I'll remind you guys that if you do vote in these polls, you'll be eligible for a $25 Amazon gift card at the end of the stream. Exclamation point vote space the number. That's how you place your vote. What are we thinking so far at the running back position, guys? Top running back play, price considered. We've already talked pretty extensively about Daryl Henderson. So maybe I should have excluded him from this chat, but I do think it's interesting. Andrew's asking, pick 2 from Chicago offense. A-Rob, Damian Williams, or Herbert? Probably A-Rob and... I guess I don't know, man. I'm not trying to really play a running back against Tampa Bay. If you really like have to, I assume maybe this is a season-long question. Herbert, I guess. It's like they're basically projecting down the middle, man. I would try and find another option. Where are we at on this one, guys? We've already broke the record today for most people hanging out on a stream, so I appreciate you guys being here. We talked about the likes, all that stuff. Just being here on a Sunday, working through this thing as a group is more than enough, guys. I'm going to touch on some of the lineups in the Discord as well for the tier 2 and tier 3s here shortly. But we gotta start moving a little bit through the positions. So we got a lot of Henderson love here. Decent amount of Derrick Henry love. Interesting. I don't mind it. Want to do an honorary mention for the poll. Bo 6. Potentially Freeman. Oh, man. I hope not. That's going to mean I lose a lot of money today, probably. J.D. McKissick on DK. Yeah, I think we talked through McKissick. I mean, all the things we said about McKissick last week still stand for this week. Not the best FanDuel play in the world, but I mean, if he gets in the box, he at least has that floor from a touch perspective through the air. That he's not going to be a guy that kills your lineup, I would imagine. But there are better plays in like the mid range at running back this week for sure. So Daryl Henderson kind of by a landslide here. But I told you guys that we were going to talk through some of the cheaper guys. So let's start with like one of the cheaper options like on this entire slate that people, I mean, he's one of the guys on the first look that stood out, all of that stuff. Let's talk about Miles Sanders for a second, and then we'll get to the top end of this. So if we move it over to run the Sims here. So from a point per dollar perspective, Miles Sanders is going to pop in basically anything that you're looking at. But what I wanted to do here is I wanted to go and simulate this slate, which we haven't done yet today. I like doing, so if anyone's, I guess, new to Run the Sims, it's a tool that we're using. They are the tools partner of the show. We get to simulate this slate 10,000 times and see which players are popping in the optimal lineup most often. So it can give us an idea of guys that maybe we have some blinders on. Also, where maybe some guys just might be a little bit overowned. That's kind of how I want to use it. So what's interesting is running this, I guess, earlier in the week versus like basically on Sunday is a lot of this stuff has changed, right? So we have Devonte Adams, the optimal rate, 22%. He's owned at about that same rate. Miles Sanders, optimal rate, 15. So he is like by far the cheapest guy that's popping in the optimal rate a lot. Basically right at ownership. So Miles Sanders is kind of an interesting one, right? Because we haven't quite seen the volume get to a point where it's like super comfortable to make this play. But he's 5,900. And he's still getting some usage in the passing game. He has some breakaway speed, all of that stuff. Like back-to-back games of 4 or more targets. The yardage isn't really there. But if you're going to say that Miles Sanders is going to give us 15 touches in this game, a good chunk of them are going to come through the air, in a game environment that we like, he's 5,900. There's got to be some touchdown progression here because, I mean, basically Jalen Hurts is taking all of the touchdowns, right? He's not going to take all of the touchdowns the entire year. So Miles Sanders is at least interesting from a price perspective to get into some of these other plays that we really like. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You guys with me on the Sanders thing? Is it too thin? We talked about this with Hodge earlier in the week. Like, I think there's sometimes we get a little bit too cute at running back. So maybe this is a too cute type of play. But I bring up Miles Sanders, guys, because it's time to spin the wheel for the first time today. So the Miles Sanders jersey is a jersey that we have given away on the stream before and was unclaimed. So we're gonna do this again. So I'm gonna start spinning this wheel because I would imagine that we're gonna have a couple of these people are not here right now. So if you are in the chat right now and you see your name, I want you to spam the chat so that I stop because I'm gonna have to spin this pretty quickly. MaxNiners@yahoo.com. Is Max in here right now? I'm going to spin it a couple times, and so we can just like keep this moving. Max Niners, the Sanders jersey. Spam the chat if you're Max. Whoever's the first one that's in here. Lane's Compton. Spam the chat. I'm going to do one more here. And then I'm actually going to add a few more because I know we probably had some more names come through on the giveaway. No Max in here so far. Is Will in here? Let's see. I'm going to download these responses a couple more times and we'll keep this thing moving. Max, still asleep. Sanders, I want. Wow, not Max. Who's got it? Someone get it? CJ says, let's go. No one yet. No one yet. Let's keep spinning this wheel. So maybe we'll do this. We'll spin the wheel like 4 or 5 times. And then if not, we're just going to spin the wheel of people that have entered the... Will says he won. Can we confirm? Will Shelley. We had a Will. Will won. Will's in here. Let's go, Will. All right. Miles Sanders jersey for Will. I'm just pumped that worked. Thank God. Will, if you are in the Discord, hit me up. I'll make sure you get that jersey very quickly. Someone's asking, how do you enter? In the description of this video, there is a link that will bring you to a Google Sheet. You register on Pristine Auction with code Holka. It takes 2 minutes to do. It's absolutely free. You'll get in the drawing. We have a couple more things to give away. We have a Derrick Henry jersey to give away. We have a Calvin Ridley jersey to give away today. And then later in the stream, we'll also be giving away the Nick Chubb picture in the background here. Let's close this poll for a second so you guys can actually see this. Giant Nick Chubb photo over there on the right side. All right, so we got, congrats, Will. Thanks for being here, man. So Will has got the first jersey. We'll keep this thing rolling. So in terms of the poll, guys, this is where we're at running back. We talked about one of the cheaper plays. Now let's go to the top. Let's talk about the big dog. We're not going to give away the big dog jersey just yet, but at some point throughout the stream, we will. Basically, at this point, it's a really difficult price to get to, right? But what's interesting to me, at least, is that we go over to run the Sims. Even at that 11,000 price tag, he's popping in 16% of the optimals. If he does hold at 11%, I think in small field, he might actually be even a little bit lower. Is this the Derrick Henry week where he's lower owned, that we jam him in there? We just eat that price? I kind of like Derrick Henry today. We haven't had a spot like this where we finally get him a little bit lower owned in a game that we like. If this game goes completely nuclear, Derrick Henry's going to speed it up. All of those things, right? And he's one of those guys that stands out as being like a little bit under owned versus like the amount of times he's in the optimal. Same with Lamar Jackson. But he just breaks the mold, especially on FanDuel, guys. Like a situation where if he gets in the box twice, like touchdowns can get skew so heavily towards like these slate breaking plays. Is there anyone on the slate that like has a higher touchdown expectation week to week than Derrick Henry? There's not many guys. Very interesting. Joey Donnelly says, I hope the big dog had Chipotle. I'm with you, man. If we're just looking purely at ceiling, like it's Derrick Henry and everyone else. So if he's going to be around 10% in your contest, I do really like that quite a bit. Daniel says, do you have to be in the stream to win? Yes, you do. We changed that because we've been giving away a lot of stuff that people haven't been claiming. So stick around if you want access to some of this other Pristine Auction stuff. I'm going to keep refreshing the people that are in the drawings also. So if you haven't jumped in there, definitely. We got 52 responses right now so far. So we got that plus the normal people. So outside, I guess you guys don't really need me to tell you that Derrick Henry is a good play, but at that ownership, he's just one of those ones that really stood out to me. So I wanted to kind of start there. We talked about Daryl Henderson a ton. I think he's, clear bell cow back at this point. Massive workload. He's even getting a ton of touches in games where they've been ahead. So let's talk about Fournette a little bit more. We talked about how, yes, you can play him with Brady. I do believe that. It's another spot where they could just blow out this team, right? And Fournette has really separated himself with guys like Ronald Jones and Gio Bernard, both on early downs and in the passing game. So if Tom's just going to keep throwing the ball a lot, I still think that like the touch projection from Lenny is one that is extremely safe. And at his price tag at 7K, he's just severely underpriced. So the simulator, we do have Fournette a little bit further down this list as potentially being a little bit over-owned, which is kind of why I like him in Brady stack so much to differentiate it a little bit. So he's only popping in 13% of the optimal teams, but it is kind of an interesting spot for him. I'll say that. Outside of Fournette, there's a couple guys like Chuba Hubbard, I think is at least interesting at his price. He's 7,300, like in that same exact kind of range, right? It's kind of just a volume spot here. Like we talked about like wide Mike Davis was such a great play last week and how we haven't really had the same type of impact with Chuba yet. But he is absolutely dominating the snaps at this point. And the Giants are banged up on defense. And the Giants defense, I think, is going to be one of the more popular options to pay down for. So you get a decent amount of leverage there with him also. So it's kind of interesting. Anthony says, excellent show, bro. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here, man. Aaron Jones week, Brady says. Yeah, are we going to try and leverage this Devonte Adams play with the Aaron Jones play? This is interesting. 6%. Aaron Jones still popping 15% of the optimals. 6% Aaron Jones. At that price point where I think a lot of people are just going to go elsewhere. It's at least interesting. Henry has more rushing yards after contact than any other running back has rushing yards. That is wild. What's up, Frost? How we doing? Vincent says, shush. I believe that's probably about the Aaron Jones stuff, is it? Very interesting. Jay says that he overslept. Jay, you haven't missed too much outside of the fact that all the people that vote in the polls now have a chance to win a $2,500. Whoa, a $25 gift card on Amazon. And we just gave away the Miles Sanders jersey also. So we still have a lot left, man. You didn't miss too much. Morning, Mary. How's it going? Do you think Ertz will have a game today, or is it too soon? Ertz is the guy that I would probably only land on in late swap. He's not in my core today, no. All the good games are at 1 p.m. I kind of disagree with that, Joe. I think there's plenty of good games in the afternoon. But I am a Cardinals fan. So who have we not talked about on this list? We've talked about all the guys on the main list. So let's talk about a couple of these other running back plays that might go a little bit overlooked. We can talk about some of the cheaper ones too. What do we do with guys like Devontae Booker, Daryl Williams? Daryl Williams all the way up at 6,700 now. I think he's still a little bit underpriced. Another guy that I kind of like playing with my stack. I think this feels like a week where playing these running backs with your quarterback just to get a little bit different makes some sense. But Daryl Williams, 9 targets in the last 2 weeks. He could easily catch one for Mahomes, right? And then you're differentiating your Mahomes a little bit. Very interesting. Kings on Jacobs. Jacobs is interesting at that price. He's at least interesting. He's also one of those guys that's not really popping in the optimals near as much at his ownership right now. So that makes me a little bit nervous. We touched on most of those guys. Deandre Swift at 7,100 might be kind of a pass for me today, even though I think that he's totally fine. We're going to see him get there in negative game script a ton. I just think for this Rams defense, if they really want to lock someone down, you would think it'd be Swift, right? So I have a little bit less interest in Swift overall. If he ends up being around 15% ownership, I think that's probably about right. He's kind of a weird tweener for me today. But that's most of the running back guys, right? Anyone else you guys want to talk about quickly? Yeah, the Cardinals guys I think are really interesting late swaps, Zane. I like Edmonds more for sure. Passing game volume. Patterson, we're going to save him from wide receiver, Vince. McKissick, hard to get away from. I thought that last week. I like him a little bit less this week, but maybe that's wrong. Flex Boyd or Devontae Booker. Booker's relatively safe, man. Freeman winning you a milli today. I hope you win a milli, man. That would be awesome, Frankie. All right, before we move on to wide receiver, obviously there's a ton to talk about there. I want to touch on a couple of these lineups from the tier 2s and tier 3s here. So the first one that I saw today was from Flin Flom. So let's go over there quickly. We got an Aaron Rodgers, Devonte Adams, bringing it back with J.D. McKissick. So we're just talking about him. We got a super contrarian Joe Mixon in here. Naked, basically. We got a Calvin Ridley and Darren Waller. So this one, I would imagine, was posted before the Waller news. So let's move on. Ross, we got a Kylo Murray. New Hopkins stack. No bring back, which I think is okay. If you did want to bring it back, could be Cooks. Oh, we do have a bring back. Sorry. We've got Nico Collins in here, 5,100. Interesting. So we got this stack alone is going to be super unique. And then we do have Henderson in here as well. We got Bateman. So in the morning, what do we have? At 1 p.m., what information are we going to have, I should say? We're going to have the Devonte Adams and Robert Tonyan info. No bring back, which I think is okay, especially on the Washington side. It's not a prerequisite. And then we're going to have the Bateman news. I don't think Bateman's going to be near as highly owned on FanDuel as on DraftKings, but definitely one of the most mispriced plays at 5,300. So it's going to be nice to have that information. So honestly, if things go really well, you could consider even going a little bit less contrarian. But you do have some chalk in here with Henderson and Sanders, which I think is totally fine. Rams defense paying up to be contrarian is something I've been continuing to do on FanDuel and getting these like really high-end defenses at lower ownership. I think this is a good team for us. I like it. I like it. Let's check in on the listener league quickly, see where we're at numbers-wise. So as of now, we do have 1,400 people, so 72% of the way full. This is a $5 3 max tournament, rake free. FanDuel.com/Holka to get in there. One of the best contests in all of DFS. We'll be reviewing this tomorrow on stream, so get in there. Let's try and fill this thing, guys. We haven't filled this yet. We've gotten around 1,800 most weeks, so we'll keep an eye on this thing. Should we move on to wide receiver, guys? We got Brandon in the chat. Houston did D-Hop so dirty. Don't be shocked during the wishing hour. Oh. I didn't even consider that. Is this a revenge spot for Nuke? Oh, this changes everything. I like Nuke a lot already in the flex. Now I might like him even more. Thanks for bringing that up, Brandon. A couple new subscribers in here I want to shout out. Duke, AJ. Willis is awesome as a new member of the channel. Obviously a familiar face, so welcome in, man. Creston Taylor, new subscriber. Max Lang, Jeremy Rutherford, Brandon Corley, Jody Watson, Catherine Davis, Jay the Ram, David McKerney, Esports W. Welcome in, guys. Appreciate you. This is the most people we've had concurrent all year, so I'm super happy that all of you guys have been joining us today. So let's move on to wide receiver. Let's close out this poll. Let's complete it. Let's start at the top. Who is the top elite wide receiver today? So make sure you place your vote. You'll get access to the drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. In order to vote, you have to be subscribed to the channel. You have to hit !vote space the number. So we got Adams, Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Godwin, Hopkins, or other. There's a lot of wide receivers to pay up for today, guys. How we feeling? How we feeling about these guys? Price considered, yes. Yes, it is, Curtis. I don't know why that isn't on here anymore. I need to add that. Very interesting wide receiver slate. I love to see the responses are going way up for the Pristine auction giveaway, by the way, guys. You're the best. So make sure you guys are registering. We do check that after the fact. If you haven't registered with code Holka, you literally just have to put it in to qualify. So we'll be counting those before we do all the giveaways, or I guess after the fact. Don't give me the headache of not being registered, okay? It's just not worth it. Where are we at, guys? Devonta Adams leading the way so far significantly. 32 votes right now for Devonta Adams. Is this a Devonta Adams smash week? We talked about it on stream. Shout out to friend of the show, Ian Hardis. Tweeted something out about these games after Devonta Adams has kind of had a dud. He does just go absolutely nuclear. That is a thing. If you already have a Pristine auction account, would you need to make another one? No, you would not, man. If you, if you can, I'm not gonna stop you. Is Kupp gonna go under owned? I don't think so. No, there's gonna be a lot of people on Stafford. If we're talking ownership at wide receiver, as you guys are voting for this, we have Kupp actually as the chalkiest wide receiver, but I think it'll be close between him and Adams. There's like some pretty clear chalk, I think, at wide receiver today at the top end. I think Tyreek actually is going to be pretty, not pretty low, but he's going to be lower than Kupp and Adams, but that's just a feel thing. That could be wrong. People love Tyreek, man. It is an amazing spot for Tyreek. How come so confident in Nuke, given his targets are so low this year? It's not really a super high confidence, Kashi. It's just like we know the ceiling and the ownership is super low right now. And the fact that he's a 4 p.m. game, it's an easy swap off of Henderson. So it's possible that I don't have any teams that start with Nuke. But if I have some teams that are struggling, I am absolutely moving from Henderson to Nuke. Zane says he hasn't heard that much about Kupp. Yeah, I think people are just tired of talking about him, but man, the role is so elite. So we can talk about Kupp as we're waiting for. I want to give you guys as many opportunities as possible to get in these votes so that you're in for that giveaway. So Cooper Kupp, though, it's more or less this team is just passing a lot more than we expected, right? Like, so like this Rams team with Stafford just looked totally different. And so like even it's kind of been the Brady effect in some ways. Like even when they've been way ahead, like it just hasn't, like we saw Cooper Kupp catch a touchdown when they were up by 2 last week, right? That can continue to happen. And he's 8,800. He's finally priced up like by these other guys. I think him versus Devonte Adams, like let's do this as we're waiting. This is something we haven't done today yet. The rangefinder over at Run the Sims is something that I find extremely valuable to look at some of these really close situations. So if we go over to the rangefinder and we talk about Adams versus Kupp, it's sometimes you shouldn't be looking at the number. Whoever's projected more, play them. That's not how it works. We got to look at the range of outcomes. So the median will tell you that Devonte Adams is a better play, 17.3 points. The win rate, if we're just looking at the 1v1, 55% in favor of Adams, 45% in favor of Kupp, basically the same salary, higher floor for Adams. When we get to the 90th percentile, it's a reasonably still higher situation for Adams. So I think 1-to-1, I'm still on the Adams side of this, but I think if the ownership was a little bit more spread out, you could make an argument in favor of Kupp. But let's throw in the stack here, because I think that's how we should be using this tool in some ways, is using it for stacks. So we got Rodgers and Adams versus Kupp and Stafford. Because then we can still see the differences in salary, also the win rates, but still the range of outcomes for multiple players. Like that's like one of the coolest things about this tool, I think. You're not really using it for 1v1s. You're using it about like combinations of players versus other ones and the range of outcomes for that. So Aaron Rodgers and Devonte Adams, still 53.6% win rate. The same salary. I didn't realize that. That's wild. But it does get a little bit tighter with the stack. Another thing that I've been asking for in this tool is I want to have ownership here. So combined ownership of these players. I think that would be really cool. I know we have that for Showdown and stuff now around the Sims, but that's one of the things that I think is interesting. So yeah, I guess in a vacuum, Rodgers and Devonte versus Stafford and Kupp, it's probably the Adams side. And I think you'll probably get you'll definitely get lower ownership on Rodgers than you will on Stafford. So interesting. Is that useful, guys? I can start doing more of this stuff too. Hill will be low. McColl over-owned this week. I don't know if Hill's going to be low. Which game do I think busts this week? That's a good question. Like a popular game that could bust? It's interesting. Let me think about that for a second. So if we're just looking purely at games, we have like a couple at the top that separate, right? Like we have like the Kansas City and Tennessee game that separates pretty significantly. I think if there's a bust game out there, maybe this Chicago and Tampa Bay game slows down a little bit. Maybe this Philly, I think the Philly and Raiders game, if the prices weren't so nice, I would have an easy time to get away from it. So I guess those would be my two of like super popular games that could go under. I just don't really see a scenario where Kansas City and Tennessee goes under by that much. So I'm definitely on that one. That's a really tough question though, man, and definitely a valuable one. Legendary likes the Run the Sim stuff. Awesome. All right, I'll keep trying to do a little bit more. We got a lot going on here, guys. How's this poll looking on the elite wide receivers? A lot of Adams. Okay, interesting. So let's move back to a couple of these guys. We already talked about the super high end guys, but what if we kind of move over to that mid range? Like someone like Chris Godwin is grabbing a ton of steam in this chat. Is that because of his price, 6,700? Obviously, with Antonio Brown out. Noel was talking about it as well. We can't just ignore a condensed target share in Tampa Bay when it's normally so spread out. They just pass so much. What's interesting about this Bears defense, not a defense that I'm scared of by any means, they've just done really well against like the perimeter, right? So from that perspective, Godwin makes a little bit more sense than Evans, but if we're trying to go touchdown heavy on FanDuel, Evans still makes a ton of sense, obviously. So I think both of those guys are great plays. Godwin seems like the one that's the most mispriced, who's probably going to take over more of that Antonio Brown role. So not surprising to see Godwin be super chalky, but I also think he's just a great play at price. We can talk about Brandon Cooks quickly because he's not on the other pricing poll that I have here. I think the reason that Brandon Cooks' price is where it's at is because of his quarterback, right? If you look at any of the metrics that really matter, I really value weighted opportunity rating because it takes into account target share and market share of air yards. So exactly what we're trying to find. So the volume is great. Like the only people that are higher than Brandon Cooks this year are Cooper Kupp and Devonte Adams. So the problem is like the value of air yards definitely matters, right? So if the air yards are coming from Davis Mills, it's not as valuable, but definitely an alpha. I mean, there's always going to be like strong game script for Brandon Cooks. He's still priced at a really nice spot for a guy that's averaging over 8 targets a game over the last 3. So 44% of those air yards, if they are valuable, you're going to get them from Brandon Cooks. So I don't think we have to talk about that much more. So let's go back here and let's end this poll. And now we're going to go to the cheaper side of things. So the top value wide receiver. So we are taking into consideration price here. What do we like? Devonta Adams won that poll, by the way. We got Jalen Waddle. We got Devonta Smith. We got Jacoby Myers, Rashad Bateman, Mecole Hardman, or other. So if you want to be involved in this poll, which I hope you would, because I'm going to be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card to a random person that votes in these polls, I would say I'm not even going to ruin it. I want you guys' first instincts on this first. So your vote only counts if you're a subscriber to the channel. So subscribe, hit that like button, all that good stuff. Hopefully we've earned your like at this point already. We've already got almost 300 likes right now. That's definitely a record this year. So I appreciate everyone that's here right now. We have almost 800 people here today. So this is great, guys. We'll be giving away a couple more jerseys. We have the Derrick Henry jersey to give away. We have the Calvin Ridley jersey to give away, and the Nick Chubb photo. So there's still a lot to come here. So you do have to be here to claim that prize, just so you guys know. But we'll keep doing that. We'll keep working through the positions, all that good stuff. A lot of Jalen Waddle love in the chat. A lot of Jalen Waddle love. Obviously, Parker, like, I would say, like, the target share alone increase that you get. Like, we saw Gesicki get steamed up a little bit when Parker was out earlier this year. Waddle is not, he's not that sneaky, I guess, is my only issue with it. And he doesn't really, like, give those, like, prototypical FanDuel type of wide receiver vibes, because he's kind of been used in the slot a lot more this year. But we have him currently at 8% ownership in this Atlanta game that we really like. He's 5,900. I think that's super interesting. And Harmon brought him up as like a player that, yes, his usage has been in the slot a little bit. We know that Tua, they had a lot of success throwing deep to each other in college, right? So if they do start to use him deep a little bit more, we know that this is a really high tempo game. It's a condensed target share situation. And he's got the speed to where even if one of these dump offs or short targets gets to him, like, he has the talent to break off really big plays. And that's what we want on FanDuel as well. So I would say that he's still totally fine on both sites, and especially at the price of 5,900, I think he's super, super interesting. I'm probably going to be on him mostly in mini stacks, so you can do like the Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle mini stacks, that sort of thing. I think that makes sense. Joey says that he can get there on volume alone. Yeah, he might just be too cheap. Sam, just so you know, my man, when you vote, you have to put Robbie Anderson on the next line for it to count. But man, I'm with you on Robbie Anderson. I think he's an interesting play also. Shepard's struggling with his hammy. Thank you for that super chat, Brandon. Yeah, that's super interesting, actually. Because we're looking at Shepard right now, like about 10% ownership. We got some guys coming back as well. That whole game makes me nervous. I'll say that. This Carolina Giants game makes me nervous. There's like individual plays that seem fine, but nothing like really stands out. Like at 6,500, I strongly prefer Brandon Cooks. And you can play 200 more and just play Chris Godwin, right? I don't think it's really that close. So we got a lot of Waddle love in here so far, which is interesting. Very interesting. Jacoby Myers, this is the week. Will he score a touchdown? He's like one of those, like, obviously the touchdown call back last week, all that stuff. I think people are just kind of sick of like the whole situation with Jacoby Myers, right? Like if you've been playing him as like that cool, like the volume's there, but he doesn't score. Hopefully it's this week. Like you've probably done it for the last couple weeks, right? And you're sick of it. So now the fact that you can get him at a little bit lower ownership than before, I am kind of interested in Jacoby. He's 5,700. Maybe he'll get steamed up a little bit. I could be wrong. I think it's going to depend on what contest you're in, but it's a really nice price for him. Alonzo, thank you so much for your $4.99 super chat. We got Mike Davis here. How do you feel about Mike Davis? Possibly using Davis with a Waddle mini stack. I don't mind that. I think that Mike Davis isn't someone that was in my core, but if we're trying to get different in this Atlanta game, especially in mini stacks, like I think the popular mini stack is going to be Calvin Ridley with Waddle. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. We see it. TJ talks about this a lot on the pivots video later in the week, that a lot of these really high scoring, large field lineups do have a running back and wide receiver mini stack in them. So yeah, I got no problem with that, man. The volume's going to be there. CPAT is so expensive now too. We'll get to him in a second. How well does Tua project today? Not super well. I prefer the mini stacks in that game. Bateman's going to be over 20%. I think he's going to be more owned on DraftKings than FanDuel, do you? Yeah. Hubbard looks good with no CMC. Hubbard's a great play today, man. We talked about him a bunch. At this point, I'm playing Myers until he scores. Yeah. Man, I hope he gets there. I hope he does. All right, so we have a lot of Waddle love in here. Devonta Smith, not so much. I think he's totally fine in your Hurts stacks, obviously. He seems severely underpriced based on the volume. McCole Hardman, he always feels like that easy guy to add to Mahomes stacks, but he always is a little bit over-owned, in my opinion. So I think we're kind of on the crab here right now, guys. So Calvin Ridley. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley. Again, we were talking about some of those metrics that really matter. And Calvin Ridley still, and we talked about it with Harmon earlier, he's still popping as like a top 5 weighted opportunity guy if we look over the last 4 weeks that he's played. And he's 7,300, an elite type of guy that we've been targeting all offseason. He's right behind my head. Like, we like Calvin Ridley around here. Against Miami in a high-paced game, this just seems like such a great spot for him. And I thought that he was going to be just super high-owned earlier in the week. But now we're seeing him at around like 10%. And I think it's because you can't play everyone, right? There's so many good players at the top end this week that I don't think that he's going to be completely ignored. But at 10%, Calvin Ridley, 7,300 against this Miami defense that has not been good, with the volume being there, it's just such a great buy low spot for Calvin Ridley. And I bring up Calvin Ridley, guys, because we're going to spin the wheel again. You guys cool with that? You guys cool with spinning the wheel? I'm going to add in a couple of these other emails here that we have from today. We got 68 people have entered these today. So what we're going to do here is we're going to spin the wheel a couple times. The first person that is here to claim the Calvin Ridley signed jersey, spam the chat so that I stop spinning the wheel. All right? The Calvin Ridley jersey. Let's do it. This is one of those ones that went unclaimed, so a second chance at the signed Calvin Ridley jersey. A. Linder. We got A. Linder in chat. Give 30 seconds to respond. There's a video delay. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to keep... it'll still be the first one, right? So the first one, I'm going to write this down so I remember. A. Linder. Okay. We're going to keep spinning it. A. Linder's the first. It's not that, like, I'm going to keep spinning it and you're not out. It's whoever was the first one, but I'm just for the sake of time. Someone's here? Someone said stop. Jay the Ram. Did you win, Jay the Ram? I will stop. We have David Crego. Did A Corso Yahoo.com show up? They did not, Mr. Ed. Unfortunately, not yet. All right, I'm going to keep going. Spam the chat if one of these are you. What we got? What we got? What we got? Calvin Ridley jersey. Seth Weiss. We in here, Seth Weiss? Who we got? Who we got? Seth Weiss. Nothing yet. We're going to keep firing. There's a lot of names in here, guys. So I would imagine a lot of these people are not here live. How do you get on the wheel? There is a link in the description, Ron. You basically just fill out this little form on Google. Takes like literally 30 seconds, and then you're in for the rest of the year. Ryan Maloney, are you in here? We'll do a couple more spins, and then I'm going to do a spin that is only from the people that jumped in today. Just to keep this thing moving. All right, no Ryan Maloney yet. It's the last spin until we go to the smaller list. Let's see what we got here. M. Lambert. Did M. Lambert win another one earlier today? The name seems familiar. Maybe we've said his name in chat today. M. Lambert. Why does this one look so familiar? M. Lambert, you in here? Tough scene. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to open a new wheel. The new wheel is going to be our backup wheel because I know that most of these people are here. Let's do this. Let's go back to the wheel names. And then I'm going to add in these names. Boom. So this one will be a little bit easier for you guys to see because there's not as many names. These are the people that are in today. Calvin Ridley Jersey. I would imagine one of these people are in here right now. Who is it? Oh. BS Strange Alien. Is BS Strange Alien in here? Daniel, this is the Calvin Ridley jersey, my man. I would imagine this is a tough scene if he's not in here. Matt, if you go into the link in the description, you'll find it. Do we have BS Strange in here? There he is. Brady's in here. Congrats, man. Calvin Ridley, signed jersey. Hit me up in the Discord. We'll get your info. And we'll keep this train moving. I'm pumped that someone finally got the Calvin Ridley jersey. I think that was one of the coolest ones we've had all year in those boxes. Congrats, man. Thanks for being here. Awesome. All right. So we got the poll. We talked through some of the cheaper wide receivers. Let's keep this train moving, and then we'll go through some more lineups. We'll build some more lineups, and then we'll try and get to as many questions as we can, guys. A new record this year for concurrent viewers, so thanks for being here, guys. I know we changed that a little bit so that you have to be here to win the jerseys, but I think it's a little bit more fun to have people in the chat that are excited, right? Who is the top tight end today? So if you are a subscriber to the channel, you can vote. And if you do vote, you can get access to a $20 gift card from Amazon that I'm going to give away at the end of the show. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, he's still in the poll. I should have removed him. That's my bad, but he's in there for now. Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, Tyler Higbee, or other. Where are we at on the top tight end of the slate, guys? Eric Johnson says he's excited to play Justin Fields today. Man, I wish I had the stones to do that. I'm not completely ruling it out. No free ads. Got to put my coffee in the mug. It's very cold. A lot of Dallas Goedert love. He is very cheap. Very cheap. With you on that. Where did the Sims have tight end? Interesting. So if we go over run the Sims quickly, I should start doing this at every position, I feel like. So when we simulate this slate 10,000 times, Mark Andrews actually popping in the optimal lineup 15% of the time, but only 8% owned. That's the kind of like inefficiency that's really interesting to me, right? Like he's definitely not cheap. You got to pay for him. But we also have Lamar up here popping in the optimal more often than ownership. It's like those are the type of things that we should pay attention to. We scroll down a little bit. Wow, there's not a lot of tight ends here. Obviously, Kelce still at the top, 18% of optimals. Like he's a great play on both sides. Like get all your Travis Kelce every week, right? It's easier to get there on FanDuel because the pricing is a little bit looser. But outside of that, it's kind of gross, guys. We got TJ Hopkinson down here, 9% of the optimals and only 4%. That's interesting leverage in that game. Kyle Pitts, 7 to 5. I mean, it's going to be spread out at tight end. We know that. But the interesting thing is, guys, that there's not a lot of Dallas Goedert here. Let's see. Dallas Goedert currently 7% of the optimals when this slate is simulated 10,000 times, only 18% owned. So to me, this doesn't mean you can't play Dallas Goedert. I'm just saying you have to be very thoughtful with the ownership on the rest of your team. If you're going to play Dallas Goedert, I don't think you can play him into the chalk at that price. And it's not one of those situations where he's super chalky and he's hitting the optimal a lot, right? So I think he makes an interesting fade in tournaments. I'll say it. Quinn, thank you so much for subscribing, my man. Welcome in. Gregory, you just became a new member. Welcome in, Gregory. Awesome. The newest Hulkamaniac. So how's this poll looking? A lot of Goddard love, a lot of others, some Kelsey in here, Andrews. Interesting. So we're getting more viewers and less votes. How do I feel about Zack Ertz? He's a late swap only guy for me, my man. Baltimore players are definitely popping, but ownership looking low. Yeah, I agree. Lamar is so chalky, even ESPN is on him. Right, but I think if you're willing to double stack Lamar, I think you'll be surprised at especially if you're willing to play him with Hollywood, right? We know Bateman's going to be high owned. But if you're willing to play Hollywood at that kind of elevated price tag, you're going to gain some leverage there. Hopkinson's interesting just because he's continued to kind of just be banged up and play through it. But the usage has been, very strong. There's not many tight ends out there that have the type of wide receiver-esque type of volume that you see from Hopkinson, right? So it's not surprising to see him popping in the Sims a little bit. And you're going to get him at pretty low ownership. I'm not so much on it, but I was burned by that last week. So take that for what it's worth. Someone says Brate in the chat. I think Brate's reasonable, especially with Brady stacks. Correlate your tight end. For sure. People on Ruggs this week? Really? I don't know about that. And it's not a great spot for a guy to, I guess, get loose for one deep. What happened to Tom Brady's ADOT last week against this in the same spot? It went way down. In 20 max DFS, how many QB stacks of the same quarterback do you have? That's a good question, Matt. So I don't play a ton of 20 max anymore. I tend to stick to the single entry 3 max stuff, the smaller fields. But I think going in on a core, if you're playing 20 max, definitely makes sense. But if we're talking purely about something like this, the 3 max that we have, that's 2,000 people tournament, I think it's okay to spread shares a little bit and just get in some of the leverage pivots that you want. You want to pull those levers, right? You don't have to go all in on a spot. It's very rare that I'm playing 3 max and I have a ton of overlap. I'm only trying to have one of these teams be really good. That's all I care about. I'm not trying to cash. I'm trying to win something every week and be in a position to move up the leaderboard, right? If things break my way. If I'm right, I want to be paid off for that. So I think 20 max, it makes a little bit more sense to go in on a core. The reason I brought this up is I wanted to refresh this and see how many people we got in the listener league. 1485. This is the lowest the listener league has been the entire year. So there's going to be some overlay here, guys. It's already paying out 30% of the field. It's completely rake-free. 2K to first. Get in there, guys. Get in there. Should we build another lineup quick? We've made it through all the positions, basically. So we were just talking about Lamar. Let's see what a Lamar stack looks like. Let's see what it looks like. And let's build this over here, actually. Let's do this one. All right, so if we did this this Cincinnati side of this game is somewhat interesting, the T. Higgins, the Boyd, if you want a super buy low spot, but I don't think you have to bring it back. I do think Marquise Brown is really interesting just because it gives you so much of an out. If we just completely onslaughted the Baltimore side of this, I think you could do something a little bit differently, obviously, if you didn't want to play all 3 of these guys. But I kind of like the idea of playing the narrative that you can't overstack Lamar, because I think with the way they've been passing, I kind of think you can, especially with this really cheap price tag that you have in there. What we could do is just fade Bateman if you think he's going to be the highest owned player here, and just hope that it goes to Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown. So I'm going to do what I have been doing, and I'm going to figure out a way to put in Henderson in my flex. Because I love the idea of being able to late swap that to nuke if I want. And that's really going to limit our salary the rest of the way. So let's talk through this. So if we wanted to go, we played Philly on the last one. I think that the Giants are at least interesting against Carolina on the cheaper side of things. Could go Kansas City, because this team's probably not going to have the salary to get to Kansas City against Tennessee. So that's interesting. Let's go with that. How does this game fail? This Kansas City and Tennessee game. Maybe it's because Kansas City gets a defensive touchdown. They're 3,400. They're super cheap. Do I think Kansas City's a good defense? No. But we're talking about how to win this slate, right? And I think that's one of the paths that at least makes some sense. So what we could do at that point, we could play Daryl Williams with that Kansas City stack. Gives us 6,700 the rest of the way, which is at least interesting. And then I'm trying to think of a mini stack that would make sense here, because we have a lot of 1 p.m. plays. So we could do some sort of Tampa Bay Chicago mini stack. We could do some sort of Arizona, Houston mini stack. If we put in, do we have the salary to get to like a Cooks Edmonds? Probably. Could do Cooks, Edmonds. That gets us 700 more if we wanted to move up in Kansas City defense. I don't hate that. What does that leave us at running back, though, if we just left it? Could do Josh Jacobs, James Conner. Interesting range to put us in. So if we didn't want to go with that one, we could go with, I don't think we can get up to Cooper Kupp. But what we could do, which is at least an interesting way to go about this, if we took out Mark Andrews on this stack, we could go with a Higbee. And then we could bring it back with Swift on the other side, which I think is at least interesting on the Detroit side of this, because he's kind of a little bit too expensive. And then the only reason I wanted to do that is I wanted to see if I could get up to one of these elite wide receivers. I'm so close to getting up to like that Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill range that this is like a build that probably I wouldn't probably land on. But if we ended up moving that one to Nuke, that saves a little bit of, we could kind of play a flex at that point. So if I move to Hopkins here, that gets us 8K or 8,300 in the flex. At that point, we could do the double tight end, which I don't do a ton of. Yeah, it's kind of a weird range. So maybe I'll go back to Andrews. I think I like the Andrews one a little bit more. If we wanted to take out the chalkiest piece of this, if we wanted to take out Bateman, maybe we move in one of these cheaper Cincinnati guys. Maybe we go T. Higgins at 6,100. We get an easy bring back on this side. What happens if we go with Miles Sanders on this? Because I think we're relatively chalky. We're relatively unique so far. So Miles Sanders gives us another 4 p.m. player. Let's put Henderson back in the flex. 6,700 at wide receiver at that point. I think I like this range a little bit more, because then we can just play a one-off Chris Godwin. So what I like about this is if your Lamar stack hits, sure, let it ride with Daryl Henderson. Let it ride with Chris Godwin. Let it ride with Miles Sanders, right? Some really good price plays at 4 p.m. But at that point, you can really blow this team up into something that's a little bit more unique if it doesn't work out. So that's kind of how I like to think through building for these type of slates, right? You want to leave yourself out, but you want to figure out some of the more like unique ways to stack. Does that make sense? What's up, Jordan? We got line movement in the chat. Jordan Fiegelman. Hit him up at Ordination Sports on Twitter. If you want to get a cool setup like this, he's the guy you need. All right. So far we've given away 2 jerseys. If you're just coming here, we gave away a Calvin Ridley signed jersey, and we gave away our Miles Sanders jersey. We still have a Derrick Henry jersey to give away. We still have a Nick Chubb giant photo to give away. Hang on, I'm going to show you guys this thing because it is absolutely absurd. Look how big this thing is. Are you kidding me? This thing's giant. It like barely fits on the wall. I don't even know where to put it, but it's very cool. So check out the link in the description if you want to get involved in that giveaway. We have 2 more of those to do. Obviously, keep voting in the polls. You'll be eligible for that $20 Amazon gift card. And yeah, let's keep pushing through this. We went through tight end. Let's complete that poll. This is one that I always want to save for last because we've gone through all the positions at this point. What is our favorite stack today, guys? If you were to pick one team to stack up, what is it? So it's a sub-only vote. So subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got a bunch of new people here today, which I love to see. And if you want to vote in the chat, you'll be eligible for that gift card. Like I said, !vote space the number. We got a new tier 1 Hulkamaniac in the chat. Brady, welcome in, my man. Brady was the winner of the Calvin Ridley jersey earlier today, man. So that's awesome. What stack we on today, guys? Matt, welcome in, man. I know you're one of our new guys as well. Appreciate you. Where we at, guys? Where we at on these stacks? And your vote will not count unless you do the ! vote space the number thing. It's like really just kind of annoying, but that's the world we're living in right now. We're a little bit spread out, which is interesting. So I know there's been some people here that are throwing in just the name in the chat. Your vote will not count in that point. And I would hate for you to be picked in the wheel and not have voted correctly, my man. A lot of people doing it right, though. Where are we at on this, guys? I've heard a lot of people talk about how this is like a really rough week for bye weeks and all this stuff. And yeah, that's true. But there's some great plays this week. And there's some great games. I'm actually super excited about this week. And it shapes up really well for tournaments, I think, because there's some easy levers to pull. We got Derrick Henry at a little bit lower ownership than we normally get. I'm excited about this slate. So as we're going to get some stacks in here, I want to make sure I get to a few more of these lineups in the chat from our tier 2s and tier 3s. So let's go ahead and check out one of King's lineups here. King's been with us for quite some time, so I want to make sure I get to this. So King has an interesting angle here for sure. He's got Derek Carr to Henry Ruggs to Josh Jacobs. He's bringing it back with Dallas Goedert. So that's a super unique way to go about this Philly and Vegas game for sure. So I don't hate that at all. I do think that Jacobs is an interesting guy. He's someone that maybe does make a little bit more sense if you're kind of trying to just grab the points from that game versus a one-off. He's a really hard guy to click. He's probably more of a late swap guy for me. But in this build, I don't hate it. I said my concerns with Ruggs is that like Philly just really keeps everything underneath. So that would be my big concern. But I think that the stack overall is going to be very, very low. You got the Chipotle narrative in here with A.J. Brown. He's 7K. If we were to take all of that out, though, we'd be super interested in Antonio Brown against Kansas City, though, right? So his ownership, I actually want to check this. He's at 13% projected ownership right now, run the Sims. He could be lower than that in small field in some of the stuff that we're in. So I don't hate that. And it looks like you have him as just a one-off, which I think is totally fine, especially on FanDuel. If A.J. Brown gets in the box, I think that's fine. You get access to that game. We got Henderson in here. I would say this, put Henderson in your flex. Doesn't really matter. I guess they're both at 405. But Henderson's like a clear guy that you could pivot away from if things are going not so well. Chuba Hubbard, one-off. Bucks defense. I love paying up at defense if you can on FanDuel, right? Terry McLaurin, flop lag. Man, I like this team. And I don't have any plans probably of playing a Derek Carr team. But King, I think this is a well-constructed team. I like it quite a bit. You have your mini stack here. There's a lot of stuff to like about this, man. Nice job. Brandon Ricker in the chat. This is his fading Derrick Henry team. So how does it go wrong with Derrick Henry today? Normally, we would try and figure this out if Derrick Henry was extremely chalky, but I still like the mindset here. So we got Tannehill. We got A.J. Brown. And we're bringing it back with Daryl Williams. So that's a really interesting way to stack Kansas City and Tennessee. Obviously, Tyreek in here as well. I do like to overweight one side of the stack. That would be the only, I guess, criticism I have. But I like the mini stack with Pitts and Gaskin. Again, another really unique way to go about that Atlanta-Miami game that we do like. We got Cooper Kupp in the flex, so tons of late swap equity. Khalil, we got Raymond in here. Wow. So like we're basically what this lineup feels like is let's pick the best games and let's figure out the most unique way to stack it. It's kind of sharp. It's kind of sharp. The only real thing that I would say that I probably wouldn't do from a correlation standpoint is I'm probably not playing Gaskin, Pitts, and the Miami defense. If you're playing the mini stack, play the mini stack. If you're playing the Gaskin, Miami Dolphins correlation, play that correlation because it's a game script thing, right? I don't hate it. We'll keep mixing those in, guys. Keegan Duffy in the chat, all the way from Arizona. What's up, Keegan? Keegan and I used to play hockey together way back in the day. Miss you, man. We'll see you hopefully at Thanksgiving. I'm going to try and get back to Arizona for Thanksgiving. We got Matt Stravali, our newest Tier 1 Hulkamaniac. What's up, man? Welcome in. We'll see you in the Discord. All right, so back to this poll. We are very spread out on the stacks, this is probably the most spread out poll we've had so far today, which is kind of interesting. Let's, before we get to, because I want to get to a bunch of questions with you guys, and I want to build at least one more lineup, but I think it's time, what probably a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Should we give away the Derrick Henry jersey? I don't want to do it, but I will. So let's make sure we get the names back in here. Get all the names back in. And I'm going to so we got, wow, a lot more responses here. So I want to make sure that all of these names get in here. Just give me a half second. One of these days, I'll get a producer to do this for me. As of now, it's just me. But it'll be worth it. So the Derrick Henry jersey. I love the way it looks in the background. It's the perfect week to give it away. So if you guys are here for the first time, definitely make sure that you check out that link and get involved for these giveaways. If you do it one time, you'll be in the giveaways for the rest of the year. So it's the easiest part of all this. So we got that. We're spinning. I accidentally hit the wheel, so we're doing it. This is the names, though. This is the new names. Then I accidentally hit it. The Derrick Henry jersey. Janter 001 at Comcast.net. I didn't even know Comcast had email still. This is the Derrick Henry jersey. Who's it going to be? We got the Derrick Henry emojis in the chat. I love that. Is Janter in here? Janter, are you in here? I know we got a little bit of a delay. Mancini said he missed it by 1. You might get another chance, man. I don't know. No one so far. No one so far. You guys might have hope. You guys might have hope. I don't see anything so far. How do we know if we're on the small wheel? You definitely are on the small wheel if you've entered any of these contests in the past. How is the small list made? It's all by a Google sheet, man, so it drops all of them in. All right, Janter, I'm sorry, my man, but you did miss it. So we're going to go to our big list here. Sucks to suck. You're probably on this one if you didn't see your name before, my man. All right. This is the big one. We're gonna spin this one a little bit quicker, though, because there might be some people that aren't here for this. John MS Coville at gmail.com. Are you in here? I'm going to keep spinning this wheel a little bit faster. I do have the most updated list from the sheet. But I'm going to spin this wheel a few more times just because it is our longest list. Oh, geez, let's go. Colin, did you win? I don't know. Let's spin it again. Spam the chat if you win. I'm only one man. We're going to spin this one a few more times. Download. There we go. Charlie Rose, are you in here? Charlie Rose, the Derrick Henry jersey. I'm going to keep spinning this thing. And if Charlie comes, he's still got it. Don't you worry. Evan Morse, are you in here? We're going to spin this 2 more times, and then we're going to do the shorter list from today. Mod, can we get a Bill Murray? I got it. Remove. Thanks, guys. All right. Well, we said 2 more spins, and then the smaller list. What's nice is our tier 2s and tier 3s have their names in this multiple times. 5 a label 5. Anyone. We're spinning it. We're spinning it. Charlie Rose, take me home. All right, one more, and then we'll go our big one, or our smaller list. And then I guarantee we'll have someone in here. The Derrick Henry jersey, no one wants it. If no one wants it, I'll keep it. Not scared to keep it. RC Graham 616, are you here? RC Graham 616, are you here? We're loading up the smaller list, and then we're going to talk a little bit more football here. Someone says, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. We're doing the smaller list. You guys have a better chance that jumped in here today. What we got? The Derrick Henry jersey. Who is it? Oh, Maxwell Macooch 15. Are you in here? Is Maxwell in here? Yeah, Brady won that Calvin Ridley jersey. Shout out Brady. Who we got? Who's Maxwell Macooch 15? Is the jersey washed? The jersey is unworn. Maxwell, let's go. Maxwell, congrats, my man. Hit me up in the Discord. We'll get your info. I'll email you as well. But this Derrick Henry jersey behind you. You are the proud winner, my man. Maxwell is here. Congrats, my man. That's awesome. Good stuff. That was a fun one. That was a fun one to give away. All right. So the poll, this is where we're at on stacks right now, guys. I want to go through a couple more questions. So keep voting in this because I want to keep racking up those entries for that Amazon gift card giveaway. A lot going on today, but I want to make sure I get to as many questions as we can too. Maxwell, you're the man. The big dog jersey. Good stuff. Castor Troy is a new tier 1 Hulkamaniac. Welcome, man. Carlos Soto's in here. You guys care more about the jerseys in football today? Not seeing a ton of questions. Let's see. Spinner again, King Henry. That was a fun one. We're just going to have to ask for more Derrick Henry stuff from Pristine Auction. Hopefully they can hook it up. Tsunami, new subscriber. Welcome in, man. Watch out for dupes. Yeah. This one does look good on my wall. I agree. Let's see. Tua, Waddle, Ridley stack's going to be fire. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Everyone on Pitts, what about Gesicki? I think Gesicki's going to gain a little bit of steam now that Parker's out. Am I able to look at your lineup in the listener league? Yeah, I have. I've done a couple of the tier 2 and tier 3 lineups, my man. Let's see if there's, I think there's two, there's one left that we got to do. So post that in there shortly. If you want, we'll do one more of those, probably one or two more. What else we got here? Someone said Arizona D in the chat. Yeah, Arizona D, again, what's weird is we haven't had one of these like expensive Ds be super chalky yet. And I think this is the week where we finally get one. So yeah, Arizona D, like we've been on that and now they're super expensive. Now they're chalk. So it makes me a little bit more nervous than it has before in terms of just the play overall. But yeah, they're great. I mean, obviously a team that pressures a lot against a quarterback that just does not do very well under pressure. It's tough to overthink that one. And you get the late swap equity. So if you're sitting there with your Arizona defense team, you could always pivot them. I guess same goes for the Rams and Tampa Bay. So we have all these expensive defenses at 4 p.m. That's interesting. You could always pivot that to like a Raiders defense or like a Philly defense, something like that. Arizona more chalky than Tampa Bay? Probably not. Tampa Bay is probably going to be the chalkiest, like high end one, I would imagine. I bet Tampa in small field probably approach like 18, 20%. We'll probably get Arizona at like maybe like 12 to 15, something like that. Cincy stack seems sneaky. I think it's interesting. That game makes me a little bit nervous, Brady. Raiders defense. Yeah, I think they're maybe the pivot. We can talk about pivots for a second. I think it's pretty straightforward. Like if you have Henderson in your flex, it's really easy to just move Henderson to DeAndre Hopkins. And if you have multiple guys, we can talk through a couple of the leverage guys. I think that like the Arizona guys are popping across the board as a ton of leverage, right? If you're willing to pull the trigger on someone like Rondale Moore, if you're willing to pull the trigger on like one of the running backs, you're going to get a ton of leverage for some teams that are behind. Same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. TJ Hawkinson, another guy that's going to be like 5% owned and some stuff, but at least has a ceiling. You could make some sort of argument maybe for someone like Darnell Mooney if we see more pass attempts. I guess I get really nervous about Justin Fields against pressure. It's like really been something that has affected him even like dating back to college. So that part of it would make me nervous. Any contest selection advice for low stakes on FanDuel? Yeah, man, absolutely. Number one, go in the listener league. But no, seriously, I think the best thing you can do is the field size is what matters, right? So the first thing that I do, and this is at any stakes, is I go into the lobby and I sort by field size. And then I try and figure out which contests are a little bit too top heavy, which contests are basically paying out a larger percentage of the field, that sort of thing. And I do try and stick to like the 3 max single entry stuff. And that's not just because I think they're easier. I don't think that. I think they're easier to leverage ownership though, because there's too many people that are playing too safe in those contests. So there's actually more value in getting different in some of those single entries and smaller field stuff, in my opinion. And we have a good idea of like the ownership's just going to skew a little bit heavier towards some of the best plays. So it's much easier to be different. How does Godwin look with AB out? Godwin is an amazing play, my man. One of the best plays of the week for sure. Yeah. Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods is a decent leverage play today. He's not going to be owned he's definitely not going to be owned as much as like a lot of guys in that price range. Because Robert Woods is, let's see. He's basically the same price as Godwin, Cooks, AJ Brown. I mean, McLaurin, all those guys are going to be higher. I mean, even if you get up a little bit, someone like Calvin Ridley, Woods is like in that weird dead zone. Like Woods is going to be sub 10%, one of the best game environments of the day. How do I feel about the Tua and Waddle stack? Yeah, Drew, a couple people have asked about that. I'm not really on Tua, but I do like Waddle a lot, obviously. Daryl Williams or Fournette? I think Fournette, but I like the leverage you get from Daryl a lot. And I think Daryl's fine in Mahomes stacks also. Who will be the one FanDuel player that scores the most points, regardless of price, regardless of position? Ian, you're the best, buddy. He asks this question every single week. It's normally a quarterback, but he still asks it, which I love. So I'm going to tell you right now. I'd love to say Derrick Henry, but I think it's going to be Patrick Mahomes, which is like the chalky answer. But Mahomes, Lamar, or Derrick Henry, those would be my guys that I'd be picking with tweets. What do I think about playing Ertz? Everyone wants to play Ertz today, hey? How do I feel about Jacoby Myers? I think a lot of people are fed up with Jacoby Myers not scoring touchdowns, so maybe this is the week. He's hard to click. And normally it's like the uncomfortable play. What do I think about McCole Hardman? McCole Hardman is someone that definitely makes sense in stacks. It's really hard to stack up that game. Of course, Ian. All right. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we are going to do our last spin the wheel of the day outside of the one for the polls. This is going to be for the Chubb photo. And we're going to go back to our giant list here. We'll do a couple of these, and then we'll do the smaller lists, and then I'm going to start accumulating some of these poll emails, or some of these poll chats here. AW Beer, are you in here? Are you in here, AW Beer? Let's see. I'm going to start getting some of these. All right. Are you in here, AW Beer? The Chubb photo. We'll spin it again. Did you miss your name? I don't think so. Glazer W. Nothing yet. Nothing yet in the chat. Brian McNeil. Did you win, Brian McNeil? Wheel's broken. Never lands on my name. Melanie says me. Did we get it, Melanie? Henry moved to 28%. Jeez. The only downside of this is I can't remember names now. Okay, not Melanie yet. Okay, let's move over to the shorter list. And I'm adding in the names from the polls as well. Go. Okay, we're going to go boom. Then we're going to go boom. Got all those names. And then I'm going to make sure I update this quickly because we got a few more entries in here. Download that. I wish there was a quicker way to do this, but we're about inches away from the final poll. This one is for the Amazon. Actually, so we still need the Chubb winner, right? All right, so we're doing the Chubb winner, and we still have the Amazon gift card directly after. We'll do that. All right. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. All right, these people should all be here today. They were at one point today. You got to have one Arthur Wan lineup. Love the Arthur Wan. All right, so this is the Chubb photo, guys. TP Duvet 1. Are you here? TPU do I'm just like the worst with names, man. I'm sorry. The Chubb photo. Show yourself. Knick-knack, don't look. Has he been here? So far, nothing. We're going to spin it again. Everyone's holding their breath right now in the chat. This photo is awesome. I don't care where you put it. It's awesome. Nobody wants a Chubb photo so far, yeah. G. Farewell Jr. Are you in here? G. Farewell? G. Farewell Jr. Juicy, I'm willing to take the Chubb photo so we can move on to important questions. We should just do like a mod one. Is he here? Maxwell. We got a new member in the chat. Love it. Is Farewell in here? Going once. Going once. All right. We're spinning it. No one wants the Chubb photo. I'm not scared to keep that one. Maxwell, I know you're in here because you just became a tier 1 Hulkamaniac. Let's go. Another Maxwell? Did Maxwell win one already? We can't have someone win twice. We did say that. Did Maxwell win one already? Am I crazy? Someone tell me. Juicy says rigged. Okay, so we're spinning it again. I'm sorry, Maxwell. You already won. You can't win again. All right. Chill out. How do you get in the Discord and collect? In the description, my man. Rob Muniz, are you in here? Rob Muniz. Rob Muniz. You won again. Yeah, everyone's. Rob Muniz is here. Let's go. We have a winner of the Nick Chubb photo. Congrats, man. You're the winner, Rob. How do you enter? Melanie, there's a link in the description. As soon as you enter, you're in for these for the rest of the year, too. So it's super easy. All right, Roberto, you're the winner, my man. We'll get that to you as soon as possible. So let's spin the wheel for the $20 Amazon gift card. Let me switch over the people that participated in the polls. That's and got this. All right. All right, it's getting a little bit bigger here now. So let's spin the wheel. This is for the $20 Amazon gift card. Who's my number 1 play today? Daryl Henderson. Just because it's such a great out if things are going wrong to move to someone else. Red Sox 7560. Are you here? This would be for the $20 Amazon gift card for participating in all the polls that we had today. Are you here? Red Sox. The Red Sox email. Going once. We're spinning it. Where we got? The Amazon gift card. Who's in here? M Cox 3178. Is M Cox in here? What we got? What we got? M Cox. Show yourself. The Amazon gift card. A lot of people still sticking around to see if they won this thing. All right, spin it again. Someone wants to win. Oh, Tsunami, I'm here. Are you M Cox? All right, Tsunami, you're the winner, my man. $20 Amazon gift card. I will. I'll reach out. We'll get that to you. Let's do this, guys. So this was really fun to do last week. Is Peter live? I'm gonna check this right now.
Let's see here.
Peter is live.
Exposure to
all right. So I'm gonna drop Peter's link in the chat here. I want everyone to go over to Peter's stream, and I want everyone to spam him like heavily with "We Are Back." Can we do that? Peter will, if you guys still are kind of wanting to dig through, have a couple more questions, you're building lineups, you want something smart in the background, I want you to go over Peter's stream right now, and I want you to say, "We are back." Let's see. He's at 300 right now. Let's see how many people we can get over. We got 583 people in here right now. Let's see how many people we can get over to Pete's stream. Can we do that? Let's do it, guys. This is like the best way we can raid on YouTube. Let's just spam Pete right now. Right now we're at 313, 325. Only 25 of you guys have gone over to Peter's stream. Let's go. Come on. 338. Let's go. 338. 349. Let's get to this to 400. Come on, guys. This will be funny. Pete's the man. And if you guys haven't checked out the Tiltspace yet, that will be tonight on the Establish the Run channel, 6 p.m. Eastern time over there. 363. All the We Are Backs. 360. We got people leaving now. All right, guys. I'm going to go hang out in Pete's chat. I'll see you guys over there. Let's keep spamming him. Get his attention. Appreciate everyone that was here today. This is a fun show. We'll keep doing a bunch of giveaways, all that good stuff. Good luck in week 7.